Hey there, friends! Warriors Dojo here, jumping in with a quick first impressions of Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. There might be some gameplay spoilers in this video, but I definitely will not be spoiling anything in the story. First of all, wow, it's really great to be playing another Hyrule Warriors again, and also making a video. It's kind of wild to think it was around 5 years ago I was hungrily playing through Age of Calamity. Does anyone remember the early frame rate issues that game had, and how before a very quick patch it really turned off a lot of players? Anyways, that definitely cannot be said about Age of Imprisonment. This game runs so smoothly on the Switch 2, and it runs equally well, if not somehow feeling smoother when undocked. I've always thought that Warriors games are just about the best kind of game to play portably, and lately I've had this game to remind me of that fact. At the time of this recording, according to my save playtime, I am apparently 42 hours into the game. I am currently at the Ambush in the Depths mission of Chapter 4, and I don't really know how much longer the game has, although my characters are getting kind of around level 50. I feel like I'm getting there. In that playtime, I do know that I have unlocked the full roster, and I've also developed my own preferences for how I tackle fights, especially boss fights, and I've become a lot better acquainted with the unique systems that this Warriors game is bringing. While I am still waiting to unlock the full moveset for every character, I do think I have a good grasp at where things are going, although I certainly wouldn't mind an unexpected but happy surprise to show up and blow the lid off my expectations, which happened immediately following the credits of Age of Calamity. So with as much knowledge as I currently have about this game, here are just some of my thoughts. First of all, I have to talk about the roster of this game. This is kind of a bigger point, but am I the only one getting huge Fire Emblem vibes from this game? I mean, in general, we've got our protagonist Zelda, who is immediately gifted a magic holy sword, the king of the land and his sister, and then a bunch of royals or similar level leaders, who are then joined by exactly 2 members of the same culture or race that are more your boots on the ground kind of fighters. As an example, and since they come along earliest in the story, I'll just briefly mention the 3 Zora that join your group. We first get Queen Shia, I don't know, who is important in the plot and speaks up often in the story scenes, and then we just have 2 random other Zoras, Cadlin and Lago, who you can recruit shortly after she joins. They barely speak, even in the mission where you unlock them, and then they have no more speaking lines from then on. Isn't this just giving a huge early Fire Emblem feel where you go out of your way to recruit these very well-designed characters? And although they do talk a little bit when you get them, from that point on, they can never be given speaking lines because they might have died at some point in your adventure, or in this game, the player might not have gone out of their way to get them in their optional mission. There's other things that have been giving me this kind of vibe. I really just wanted to put that out there and see if anyone else is also getting that. When it comes to the gameplay that these warriors bring, it is, of course, excellent, with some really flashy and fun playstyles. However, this is more of a comment, not a criticism. I'm also getting the feeling that the goal in this game was to really flatten out the playstyles. What I mean by that is that everyone plays pretty much like your standard Warriors character. That might be kind of hard to understand if this is your first game in this series, but I come from covering characters like the massive Great Fairies in Age of Calamity, and young Link in the original Hyrule Warriors, and then plenty of other Warriors games beyond that. In Age of Imprisonment, I was sort of shocked when I realized that I had actually recruited the final character, because there hadn't been a single outlier yet. There was no character that had some extra subsystem to manage that powered them up, no joke character that dances around for half of their attacks and just happens to rack up a huge body count. Nothing like that at all. We don't even have the differences in each character's extra tools. For example, in Age of Calamity, every character had their own unique stasis rune. However, there were a lot of haves and haves not in that situation, which this game has eliminated, but it has also had the effect of making the fights feel a bit too similar. There are unique skills for each character, but for the most part, they have been pretty much equivalent with each other, with the odd effect thrown in here or there. Those skills, along with the Zonai equipment, do a great job at making fights with bosses a lot more active. We aren't waiting for certain boss moves or relying on special attacks to set up weak points anymore. Instead, we're making all the opportunities ourselves in this game. I really enjoy the system of interrupting boss attacks, although it is pretty easy to learn and pretty much negate a lot of what the bosses are doing. I'd say that the game's difficulty has been lowered dramatically, and I'm really hoping that the endgame really racks this up, because it feels a little bit too easy to start playing super optimally. For example, for me, having a flame, frost, or shock emitter on ZR is a necessity. Pulling out those and setting them down can pretty quickly force bosses into easy weak point attack chains, and there's sort of nothing that they can do about it. These things don't even burn through your batteries, since you can just set them down and continue to get the effect, while the bosses will be reeling from your attacks and just letting that effect build up over and over and over again. Granted, I am not finished with the main story or the endgame, and I know that I still have some attacks to unlock, but at the time of recording, I'm really having a tough time imagining what could be more effective than some of the playstyles I've already developed. In general, this game has been a lot of fun to play, but I've had some interesting things to note as I've been going through it, and I'm really looking forward to see what else is waiting for me in this game. I'll probably have a full review later on after I finish it 100%, but you can certainly expect some guides as soon as I feel that I can speak with full confidence about the gameplay here. So that's probably about everything I wanted to say today, but for a bit of the old engagement, how about leaving a comment with what characters you would like to see guides for first? That would help me a lot. That's gonna be all for now. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Take care, thank you for coming back to my channel, and I will certainly catch you next time.